choosing my major, back in high school, I took all of these science classes that were offered at my school. And so it was really kind of interesting. I got the biology or the science award, and I always kind of was always about science, different things, and even after choosing different majors, I always wanted to keep science at the center. And so being biology is like all science of living things, that just kind of tied right into what I wanted to do. My favorite thing about KU is the willingness for the professors to be able to meet up with students and go above and beyond what they need to in settings. And kind of what I mean by that is after classes, if students were struggling in any way, professors had office hours that were set up, and they'd also be willing to kind of help students be able to understand, myself included, the more challenging lessons. And so it's definitely helped me out in a lot of different ways. So we're doing research in immunology, specifically in autoimmunity, and we're working with cells that are infected with lupus. And lupus is a disease that causes the body to not recognize itself as itself and to recognize itself as an invader. And so what we're working on is ways to figure out why people with lupus or why people with autoimmune diseases are reacting that way instead of having a normal response. Typically, we're going to add primers with oligonucleotides. So from there, we end up sending it through a PCR reaction, which is one of these machines over here. And so that causes, as Dr. Anton described earlier, building up to be able to work with enzymes to be able to create more of that. And then what we'll do is after that, we will purify that too. And that's what we'll use in our experiments. It's a tiny little ball of ice. And so what we'll do from there is we have to wait till it thaws out before we can add it into our other things. So the way that we do that is just kind of swirling motion, surround it, warms it up slightly, put it back in, because the ice is a lot warmer than the freezer was. So the pipettes we're using are barrier pipettes, and the only reason they're called barrier is because they have this tiny barrier in there, and so that way it doesn't suck anything up into the pipette. So it's kind of like it's like a precaution type thing. There's a lot of different advice. Being simple, always be pungent and be on time. That goes miles away with professors. Another thing is to always ask questions. There aren't really any dumb questions. Something that you might not understand is something that somebody else is struggling with just the same.